Hello, how are you today? I hope you are feeling wonderful. By the end of this video, you are going to feel amazing because today we have a special guest, Yoko, with us.
Hi.
Yoko is the president of Japan Reiki Association, and she has been fully into Reiki for now about 30 years. She first began Reiki because of her own illness at age 25. She had a life-threatening illness that she had to heal herself, and that's when she came across Reiki. And ever since, she's fully immersed in Reiki. But another amazing thing is that Yoko began her own business at age 17, and she's been an entrepreneur ever since. So she has this wonderful business logical mind and the spiritual mind, on the other hand, with 30 years of Reiki, that she combines it so well and answers the questions, our burning questions, so logically. And so that's why I'm asking her all our burning Reiki questions today to Yoko. Thank you for being here.
よろしくお
Okay.
願いします。
All right. Okay. So without further ado, let's begin with today's question. Let's see, what
Okay.
do we have? Okay, this one has come from the Singapore chapter student. Um, hmm. Is this a conflict between Reiki philosophy and Christian philosophy, which claimed that in each of us, human exists the sacred part of the God, and because of that, our body emits the blue color of God light to heal us and as an energy source?
霊気のね、エネルギーの色は、やっぱり青っぽい白なんですよね。
I'm going to begin with letting you know that the color of Reiki is kind of, bluish, whitish color.
それでね、霊気と信じておられる宗教や神に、相反するものがあったり、やらない方がいいんじゃないかって、たまに質問受けます。
And once in a while, I do receive question about, like that religious belief that my religious belief will have a conflict what Reiki has to say.
これに対する答えは、私はいつも同じ返事をします。
And I always have this same response to that question. And
私たちが生きていくのに、私たちはまず酸素を取り入れる器官から。そして、食べ物や飲み物も取り入れる。そっちは食道から。これ、両方あるから、私は快適にハッピーに生きられる。そして、酸素と食べ物は喧嘩しません。気管と食道も喧嘩しませんよね。だから、信じておられる宗教や思想と霊気も別に喧嘩しないです。
to live, we need oxygen, right? So we have the pipe that the oxygen comes into your body. And then similarly, we have another a tube through which we eat our food. The food goes through. And both of these, they don't have a conflict. We need the oxygen on one end and we need the food on one end. And because of that, we are able to live comfortably. So I believe it's the same with, the religious belief that you have comes on one side and the Reiki practice comes on the other side. And two don't have a conflict. They exist continuously together on the same plane. And so you're able to live a wonderful life.
どうでしょう。これちなみに、うちのね、インド支部の代表のナーズさんがね、いろんな宗教を信じておられる方が来られるので、皆さんにそのようにお伝えしていて、私はこれ素晴らしいなと思って、で、私も聞かれたときはそう返事してるんです。
This, by the way, has come from our India chapter head Naz. India is multicultural, has so many different religions. And so she used to get asked often this question. And so she would respond in this way. And I thought this is an amazing way to respond. And so I have now adopted this one to explain how it can coexist. So the next question is, can you explain what attunement is?
アチューメントね。チューニングする みたいな意味合いなんですけどね。うん。そうだな、わかりやすい例えで言うとね、うーん、電気が通ってないお家がある。そこに冷蔵庫やいろんな電化製品があっても使えませんよね。だか
So,
ら、そのうちに電気を引く。そんな作業かな。
so I'm going to explain. How can I explain in the most easiest way? First of all, yes, attunement, as the word suggests, it's tuning in. It's a process to tune in. So, as an example, imagine a house that has, for example, electronics like a refrigerator or a computer and things like that. Uh, but there's no electricity connected. So the attunement process is like allowing the electricity to be connected to that house.
ね、最近だったらインターネットの例えを使う人もいますね。うん。
Uh,
インターネットがつながらないお家にパソコンやスマートフォンがあっても使えないもんね。うん。だから、インターネットを引く。そうすると、より人生が面白く楽しくなります。
So, for example, we can also use internet, right? When you move houses, first, when you get to your new home, you don't have the internet connection. And so, even if you brought in your cell phone or your computers, you're not able to use it because there's no internet connection. And so, you ask for the connection to happen. And once you get the internet connection, then voila, you can enjoy life to its fullest. So, the attunement process for Reiki is also like it's a similar thing.
うん。まあ、この例えで分かりづらい人のために、霊気っていうのはこの宇宙空間のどこにでもあるんですよ。そして自由に楽しく活用できたら非常にいいです。うん、特に気力が減退した時に、自分で自分の気力を満たすことができます。
I'm going to give you another explanation. So Reiki is really something that is available, everywhere and anywhere. And so wouldn't it be amazing if you're able to tap into this like anytime, anywhere, especially, for example, if your energy feels depleted, to be able to tap into this energy and feel better, it would be amazing, right?
で、まあ、これで別にね、霊気学ばなくてもね、たまには、霊気インターネットとつながって、ちゃんと、霊気エネルギーが自分に届いてる時もあるんだけれども、これ、コントロールできてなかったら、まあまあ不便なんだよね。まさに、インターネットがちょっとつながりづらいところにいるような。あ、快適に繋がってたと思ったらブチッと切れたりとかね。で、それを自分でコントロールできない。うん。それをね、アチューメントっていう手順を、霊気師範の人から受けてもらうことによって、まあ、快適なインターネット環境のように、いつでも繋げようって思ったら繋がるっていう感じになる。
You want to be able to connect anytime, all the time. So you want to be able to connect because the energy is around you all the time. Sometimes, yes, you are able to connect. But again, it's like internet, right? Let's call it Reiki internet. You are able to connect, but then if you don't have control over it, sometimes it's just going to drop and like, oh, what happened? How do I reconnect? You don't know how to reconnect because it's just happening in the background. So when the Reiki Shihan gives you the attunement, then you then now know how to connect. So if it gets dropped, you know how to connect and you're able to connect with the Reiki internet anytime that you wish and able to use it fully to your advantage. All right. So the next question then is how many times must a person receive an attunement? For example, if somebody has learned Reiki before and then they haven't practiced, do they need to get an attunement again? And also, is it more advantageous to receive more attunement?
アチューメントを受け直すことは全然問題ありません。
And there's no problem. You can receive attunement any number of times. That's not a problem.
うん。まあ、一番最初ね、 まず霊気とのチューニングをして、開通させるというかね。その後ね、正直長い間使わなかったら、せっかくアチューメントしたけども、なんでしょうね。わかりやすい例え話で言うと、その回路というか、それが閉じちゃう。うん。だからほぼ使えない。アチューメントを受ける前と同じ。そんな感じの人もいます。
So, yes, you've received the attunement process, the tuning has been done, but if you stop practicing for a long time, then yes, like your ability to practice will deplete. To give you an example, your pipe that was opened up kind of shrinks down and it becomes as if before the attunement process.
また、あとね、もう一つの、考えられる原因はね、これはもう正直に言うと、霊気マスターの人がうまくアチューメントを行えなかった。だから、アチューメントを受けた人がうまく霊気とチューニングできていない。だから、家に帰ってから一生懸命練習してもわからないし、使いこなせないし、もういいやって思って霊気を使わなくなってしまった。こういうパターンの人も若干います。
And another example of perhaps why you may stop practicing, I'm going to be really honest here, is that sometimes there is a possibility that even though you received the attunement from a Reiki master, it wasn't done correctly. It wasn't done in the way that it's supposed to. So that connection isn't established properly. And so you go back home and you try to practice, but you don't seem to sense or feel, or it's not going well. And so you're like, oh, and you give up and you stop practicing.
うちの霊気協会の師範の人にはいませんよ。うちは何年もかけて徹底的に100%やれるように訓練しますから。けれども、日本の場合、たった1日で、ファーストレベル、セカンドレベル、サードレベル、そしてマスターレベルまで、1日で終わらせてしまうようなスクールも残念ながらあります。ということは、車の運転なんかに置き換えてもらうと、昨日まで車のハンドル握ったこと一回もない。でも、次の日から自動車の教習所の先生になるっていうような感じでね、うまくできない人も中にはいる。
So, of course, not any of our Reiki masters, our Japan Reiki Association's Reiki Shihan are trained over a long time. But unfortunately, in Japan, there are places where you can learn Reiki in one day, like from the level 1 all the way to the master's level in one day. And so that's where I find sometimes there is a little bit of a problem. Because, see, think of you learning how to drive, right? You don't know how to drive. You've never like sat on the steering wheel, and then you go to learn your driving skills at a driving school, and the next day, boom, you are now teaching the students how to drive. Like, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes this is the case.
そう。だから、この二つの理由が考えられるので、アチューメントを受けたけども、うまく習得できなかった。自分に原因がある。っていう場合ばっかりでもないんですよね。もしかしたら、うまくアチューメントがいってない可能性もある。それも含め、今全然使えてなくて、何年も経ってしまってるっていう人は、もう一度アチューメントを受けられたらいいと思います。
Sometimes, yes, you have given up Reiki. So it's not always your own fault. Sometimes the process may have been done incorrectly. But either way, if you have not been practicing Reiki for a number of years, please go ahead and relearn it, get the attunement process again, and start practicing Reiki. We have one more question. Can I learn other kind of Reiki after learning Usui Reiki?
うん。もし学びたければ、それはもちろん学ばれたらいいと思います。
Of course, if you wish to learn different kind of Reiki, it's your choice. Please go ahead and learn.
ただアチューメント、薄い式霊気のアチューメントを受けた後に、薄い式ではない別の エネルギーのアチューメントを受ける場合、これは霊気以外のエネルギーワークのアチューメントを受ける場合もですけども、これはまあ言ったら、まさに、コンピューターとかで何かを上書きして更新しているようなものなので、前の周波数帯のものは消えてしまいます。いつも最新のものがチューニングされますから。なので、まあ、薄い式霊気学んだけど、その後違う周波数帯のエネルギーワークでアチューメントを受けたら、そっちの周波数帯とチューニングが合うその人になります。私が今までいろんなエネルギーワークを受けて、それごとに、違う周波数を使い分けれますっていう人と出会ったことはないです。どの方も使い分けてますって言っていても、その一番最近受けたアチューメントのその周波数帯でチューニングされてます。
It's up to you if you want to go and learn. But the thing is, if you are going to receive an attunement process from a different kind of Reiki, not Usui Reiki, and of course, this also includes other energy work as well, then you will be attuned. Your tuning will be matched. The frequency will be matched with that energy or, that modality. So that is something to keep in mind because it's like a computer a processing unit, right? You erase the operating system and then you put on a different one. I'm sorry, you may not erase it, but when you add on the different operating system, it will work on that different operating system. Both can't work together. And over the years that I have seen, people who have claimed to say that yes, no, I can use different frequency, like different energy, but I've noticed that no, their frequency is attuned to the latest attunement that they received, and they're not able to like differentiate. So that is something to keep in mind.
まあ、というわけで、再びもう一度、薄い式霊気使いたいなと思ったらもう一度薄い式霊気のアチューメントを受ければ問題ないですから、他のものを学ぶっていうのも、個人的には全然問題ないというか、いいんじゃないかと思います。世の中にはいろんな種類のものがいろいろあって選べる方が面白い。
Personally, I think it's wonderful that you would want to go and learn something else because it's your choice. And it's so nice that we have different choices. So all you have to remember is that after that, if you want to again be practicing Usui Reiki, then just receive attunement again for Usui Reiki and you're good to go. Thank you very much. I think the audience may have more questions stemming from the responses that we have given. So feel free to write down in the comments and we'll see. We'll have an opportunity to do this again. But for now, thank you very much and
Thank you.
goodbye.
Bye. See ya.